بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We have discussed about ghusl of janaba, and there are recommended ghusl mentioned in Risala. Many of them these are not obligatory, but there is a long list of them. One can go through them, like ghusl for Jum'ah, which is very much recommended in the day of Jum'ah. Some of the ulama said is better to be done before Dhuhr, or must be done before Dhuhr. Some said up to sunset, up to Maghrib. That is possible to be done, and is very, very much recommended in the day of Jum'ah, Friday, to perform ghusl of Friday. The second one is recommended on 1st and 17th nights, and 19th night, and 21st and 23rd and 24th in the holy month of Ramadan. So many nights is recommended to perform ghusl in Ramadan month. For ihram, to perform ihram for those who go to Hajj, is recommended to perform ghusl. To enter the Haram of Mecca, the holy mosque in Mecca, is recommended to perform ghusl. To enter into the holy Kaaba is recommended. And so on. For entering into Medina and its Haram, the area of the holy city of Medina, just recommended. To enter the mosque of the Prophet is recommended to perform ghusl. And in the day of Mubahala, that is on 25th of Dhul Hajj, is mustahab ghusl, and so on. There are many other recommended ghusls mentioned in books. These are just to know about them, that not only obligatory ceremonial bath is there, but there are recommended ceremonial bath as well to be done. Now, after wudu and ghusl, we come to the subject of tayammum. Performing tayammum is a part of purification, and like wudu, but if we cannot use water for wudu, then the other way, or we cannot use water for ghusl, for ceremonial bath, then we perform tayammum. And here tayammum in issue 655, it should be performed in 7 circumstances. When tayammum is to be performed, he said in 7 circumstances. First, when it is not possible to procure sufficient water for performing wudu or ghusl. If somebody is in an area when there is no water, in desert, for example, in jungle, and there is no water, there his duty is to search for water. Not to say that I am here and then it is okay, there is no water. He has to search for water. If he is walking, let us say, he said about 200 human yard, which is about half yard, let us say about 100 yards from all sides, he has to look and search to make sure that there is no water. And then if you see there is no water, then he can perform tayammum because there is no water. Well, nowadays if somebody has a car or a bicycle, naturally he can look for a wider distance and can make sure that there is no water. So if he's hopeless, he's in a place when there is no water, naturally here tayammum is to be performed. That is one. The second one, if the second case, if a person is unable to procure water on account of old age or weakness. Either he cannot walk, old age, or he's sick, or he's fearing enemy. If you go in jungle, for example, they go camping in jungle and there is by chance no water. So all those are possibilities. Well, nowadays in the modern life, it's very unlikely to be in an area when there is no water. But in case that is happening, then tayammum is to be performed. So that is the second condition for allowing tayammum. The third situation, if a person feels that if he uses water, his life will be endangered or he will suffer from some ailment or physical defect, or the illness from which he is already suffering will be prolonged. If there is shortage of water, and if he uses the water, the third one, if the water is harmful for him, there is no shortage of water, there is water available, but water is harmful for him, for his skin. Some people have severe allergy, for example, or some sicknesses or some diseases, and if they use water, it is harmful for them. Some people have sickness in their eye, inflammation, and water is not good, because that will increase inflammation. So the water is actually harmful for their skin and for their body. Or there is a shortage of water, there is little water and he needs it for drinking, he's in desert, if he uses it, then his life will be threatened. So that is another case. So the third case, when the water is harmful for their body. Now sometimes one does not know 100% the water is harmful, but he say, well, I think it is harmful because some people told me, the doctor told me so. There is a great probability about it is harmful, but not certainty 100%. Let us say 70-80%. I think it is harmful because of advice of the doctors or the people who knows about my sickness. So he said that is sufficient. Not that here you have to be certain 100%. No, if you have possibility that it may be harmful, and that possibility is a reasonable possibility, then it is sufficient that you abstain from using water. If somebody is certain, in issue 681, if a person was sure that water was not harmful to him, and he did ghusl or wudu, but later on realized that water was harmful to him, his wudu and ghusl will be void. See, this is important, that if actually water is harmful, then your duty not to use it. If you thought it is not harmful and you performed wudu or ghusl with that water, and then later on you realized it is harmful, then actually wudu is void. Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted that you take with the permission is given as you fulfill the duties. So here, permission to be fulfilled, and your duty is not to use the water because it is harmful. The fourth condition, say if a person feels that if he uses water for ghusl or wudu, he will be involved in hardship because of thirst, or he should perform tayammum, and here it is said in 3 cases in this issue. Now he has water, but he's in desert, and that happened to people who are traveling in desert and not much water is available, so they fear if they use little water they have for wudu or for ghusl, then no water will remain. So he said the conditions are, first, if he feels by using up the water for ghusl or wudu, he will suffer an acute thirst which may result in his illness or death, or it may cause intolerable hardship. Not little thirsty to be counted, but severe thirsty. Or the other condition, if he feels that his dependents, whose protection is his responsibility, may become ill or die. If he is with his family, okay, there is little water, he can use it for himself, but then his dependents will suffer. Then naturally in that condition he should perform tayammum and not to use the water. The third, if he feels that others, human beings or animals, may die or suffer some illness, here again he has to perform tayammum. So you see, Islam not only respect person's health, but also his dependent's health and his colleagues and companions and other human beings, even animals, should not suffer. If I have little water and if I perform ghusl, well, only little will remain that I will drink, and my animal will die of thirst because he's in desert, for example. He said that you have to preserve life of the animal and perform tayammum. So these are some of the conditions. Now the fifth condition, he said if the body or dress of a person is najis and he possesses only as much water as is likely to be exhausted if he does ghusl or wudu, and no water would be available for making his body or dress tahir, he should make his body or dress tahir and pray with tayammum. Actually, it is obligatory that the body to be tahir, pure or clean, and if only little water, either he wash his body or he perform wudu, then he said, okay, he wash his body, so his body is tahir, and he perform tayammum for the prayer. So that is again the fifth case. The sixth case, well, if the container he has is usurped container or it is unlawful to use it, naturally he has no container and that is not to be used. The seventh point is practically more important than other points. I mean more important because usually in modern lives those six possibilities are not much, except if somebody's water is harmful to him. The rest, I mean shortage of water or to be in desert, that usually one is not in that. Here, this possibility there, we read, there are some more details here. Issue 686, when the time left for prayer is so little that if a person does ghusl or wudu, he would be obliged to offer the entire prayer or a part of it after the prescribed time. He should perform tayammum. If he is awake, let us say for morning prayer, 5 minutes before sunrise, if you go to perform wudu and come to perform the prayer, then sunrise will be there and his prayer, or maybe part, half of the prayer, will be after sunrise, I mean after the time. Or in the afternoon he was sleeping and he said, when I am awake, then I will perform my prayer. But by chance he was awake with little time before the prayer. Now if he, before sunset, especially in winter, sunset is early, and if he was sleeping then the time is tight. So if the time is tight, here he has to perform tayammum, because tayammum take less time than wudu, and offer the prayer with tayammum. So that is one of the main points when the time is tight for performing wudu and prayer, so we perform tayammum and pray. Issue 687, if a person intentionally delays offering the prayers till no time is left for ghusl or wudu, he commits a sin, but the prayers offered by him with tayammum will be valid, although recommended precaution is that he should give qada of the prayer. Now he has time, but he delayed it. Some people are busy talking by telephone or on the computer or going outside or so on. So he wasted the time. He knows that he has to perform ghusl, but he wasted the time till now the time is tight for performing ghusl, for example, and offering the prayer. So he said, his duty naturally become to perform tayammum, but he has done a sin because he should not have delayed his ghusl or wudu. And only recommended precaution that after the prayer he perform wudu or ghusl and do qada of that prayer. Issue 688, if a person doubts whether any time will be left for prayers, if he does ghusl or wudu, he should perform tayammum. Now the question here, should he be certain that the time is tight, or he has a doubt? Is it necessary that I am sure 100%, I am certain about it? He said no, usually certainty is not there, but he thinks that it looks for sunrise there is only 10 minutes, and if I perform ghusl it takes about 7-8 minutes. If very quick, or then it will not be sufficient to come. But if later on he realized that the time for sunrise is about half an hour, he did a mistake. Actually, that is not that he contradicted the thing, because he thought it is and he did not realize the time very. So if he has a doubt, then it is sufficient to perform tayammum. Issue 689, if a person performs tayammum owing to shortage of time, and after the prayer he had an opportunity to do wudu but did not do so till the water he had is no longer with him, he will have to perform a new tayammum for subsequent prayers, even if the first tayammum had not become void, provided of course that tayammum continues to be his religious obligation. I mean, the time is tight, he performed tayammum, and then he offered his prayer. But instead of using that water for ghusl or for wudu, he spoiled the water for any reason. And then for the next prayer, he had no water. He said, if he is with the first tayammum still, he said he cannot perform prayer with that taharat, but he has to perform tayammum again, because this is a new situation. After first tayammum, he had water, and he could have performed wudu, but he did not do. Issue 690, if a person has water, but because of shortage of time, he prays with tayammum, and while in prayers, the water he had goes out of his position, he will, as per recommended precaution, do tayammum again for the subsequent prayers, provided that his religious obligation continue to be tayammum. Again, similar to the previous issue, but here it goes out of his position because of his son, for example, used it, his wife used it, and went out of his position. Issue 691, if a person had only just enough time that he may perform wudu or ghusl and offer prayers without its mustahab act, like iqamah and qunut, he should do ghusl or wudu, whichever is then necessary, and pray without the mustahab parts. In fact, if for that purpose he has to avoid the next surah after Al-Hamd, he should do so after doing wudu or ghusl. You see, in the prayer, the obligatory parts to be performed fast when the time is tight. So you see, if he has time to perform ghusl, but if he has to perform adhan and then iqamah and then the mustahabbat in ruku and in sujood, all that, now the prayer will take a longer time and the time is not sufficient. He said no, he should avoid the mustahab and perform only wajib dhikr. And here he pointed that after Surah Hamd, if reciting one surah like Qul Huwallahu Ahad will make the time also tight, he is allowed here not to recite the surah. He recites only Surah Al-Hamd because the time is tight. So he should perform wudu or ghusl and perform his prayer without the recommended dhikr or acts of the prayer. That is about the tayammum. Now, things on which tayammum is allowed, say tayammum can be done on earth, sand, lump of clay or stone. But the recommended precaution is that if earth is available, tayammum should not be performed on anything else. If earth is not available, that it can be performed on sand or a lump of clay, and in absence of these, on a stone. Tayammum is on earth, as the Holy Quran says, sa'idan tayyiba. Sa'id is the earth, and tayyib means here is to be tahir. So the earth should be tahir. If the earth is najis, not possible to perform tayammum. Now the earth means the clay or sand, that is mainly. And the second is the stone. If you have, to say, like a marble stone, that is a stone, is part of the earth. But here, according to Ayatullah Al-Sistani, he said, if earth is there, I mean the clay is recommended precaution to perform tayammum on clay. If not, then on a stone, or let us say marble, because that is also is regarded as earth, you know. Issue 693, tayammum can also be done on gypsum or limestone. Lime, because is treated with fire, some said not allowed, some said is allowed. So according to Ayatullah Sistani, he said gypsum or limestone is allowed. Similarly, tayammum is allowed on dust which gathers on the dress or the carpet, etc., provided that its quantity is such that it can be termed as soft earth. Well, in the countries where dust is available, and sometimes on the dress or on a carpet, if the carpet is not, let us say, cleaned for a few days, there is enough dust on it that if you hit your hand, it becomes full of dust. He said even that is allowed to perform tayammum, not to get only clay from outside, but that is there. Well, nowadays in, let us say, the Western countries, difficult to get that situation because usually dust is not coming at homes, but in the Middle East, always dust is there, and sometimes if you hit the carpet, you see it will be full of dust. So he's giving example on those countries where dust is available on the carpet, so if you make a layer of dust on that, you can perform tayammum. You know, because some of the examples, you know, it may look not applicable or practical in the, let us say, Western countries, but anyhow, it is said universally all over the world. Maybe one is in Africa or in Middle East, too much dust. So these are examples. Issue 694, if a person cannot find earth, sand, lump of clay or stone, he should perform tayammum on mud, and if even that is not available, then on dust particles which settle on the carpet or the dresses, though it may not be in a quantity which could be considered as soft earth. And if none of these things is available, he should, on the basis of recommended precaution, pray without tayammum, but it will be obligatory for him to repeat the prayers later as qada. So if he cannot perform wudu, and if he cannot perform tayammum because he is not finding earth or clay or dust and nothing which is suitable for tayammum, then in that case there are two possibilities. Either he should not offer a prayer, or as he said, recommended, he should perform the prayer without tayammum, and later on he perform qada of the prayer, because naturally without tayammum and without wudu, without taharat, the prayer is not valid. So he said he, as a recommended precaution, he performed the prayer even without tayammum, and as we said, without wudu, because his situation that he cannot use water. But later on, when he can use the water or find the water, he should do qada of the prayer and pray it again in a right way. Issue 695, if a person can gather some earth by shaking the carpet, etc., then to do tayammum with dust particles will not be correct, If little dust and little particles not sufficient to be full layer, then he said is not sufficient. And if it is with mud, you say if there is wet with water, then it is incorrect and tayammum should not be done. Because if it is not dry with mud, you say not allowed. Issue 696. If a person does not have water but has snow or ice, he should, if possible, melt it into water and perform wudu or ghusl. And if it is not possible to do so, and also he does not have anything on which tayammum is allowed, then it is necessary that he should give qada after namaz time. But it is better that he should make the parts of wudu or ghusl wet with snow or ice, and if even this is not possible, he should perform tayammum on snow or ice and offers a prayer in time. You see, the prayer should not be missed in time by any way. So he gave an example. It's in a cold area, and in the villages they don't have tap water. They have a fountain, and that fountain they come in winter, and you say there is a layer of snow in it, ice water. So if he can melt it, he should melt it. If he can break it and take water below, he should do that. Not to say that I cannot because there is no water. No, he has to have all possible ways to get the water, by heating, by breaking the snow, by taking the water, whatever possible. But if all that is not possible, making the hand even wet with the snow, then he can perform at least a shape of wudu, but later on he has to perform qada of it. Or if all that not possible and there is nothing for tayammum, also no clay, no dust for tayammum, he said then in that case he should perform the prayer, or as he said before, recommended to perform the prayer and do qada of it. It is sufficient up to here, and inshallah in the next session we will continue the details. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.